Okay. And as you can see, our meeting is being recorded as well. So if you do not wish to be recorded, you can obviously leave the meeting and then just enjoy the recording later on. Thanks, Dan. Okay, take your time, but I hope you can hear us okay. So that's good.
Yeah, I can hear everything okay. Yeah, thank you. I'll try to fix my camera for the time being.
Lovely, lovely.
Thank you.
So I think we can start because I know that for some of you it might be quite late or very early. So again, thank you so much for joining us for the International Development Group session. The title of our session today is, and we will be presenting, a couple of our members will be presenting their findings on the team challenges around supporting international students during the pandemic and any further ideas for post-pandemic support, including ongoing online opportunities. So for those who maybe are not that familiar with our group, International Development Group, we are the group of international managers and academic members with an international role across the U21 Sciences group. I'm the current chair. My name is Margaret Tiuchta, and I'm the International Relations Manager from the University College Dublin. And together with my colleagues, we really focus on working together to help ensure the key benefits, and we work on different projects and initiatives for benefits of our students. So particular focus on student mobility and different opportunities we can present and share for our medicine and other discipline students. We also focus on dipping into other activities across the Health Sciences Network, like the Global Partnerships group as well, and different disciplines. So I think it will be interesting to see how the meeting in Monterrey go. Unfortunately, it's another meeting online. We can't meet in person, but fingers crossed for next year. Fingers crossed for next year. Veronica, thank you so much for all your hard work. I know we've been running this last year, so I know it's not easy. Yeah. It seems that online should be easier, but we know how it is. So thanks again everybody to join, and maybe we could start with Irene. Irene from University of Queensland, and she is going to present as a first speaker on the team which we just started in the subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. So let me share my screen. Yep. So can anyone see? Can everyone see it?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, thank you. So hello, everyone. It is good to be here online, and I'm Irene Hoy from the Faculty of Medicine at UQ. So before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and their custodianship of the lands on which I'm presenting this evening, and pay my respect to their ancestors and descendants. So today I will focus on the Doctor of Medicine MD program at our faculty, and I will highlight the top 3 challenges that we are currently facing, and also showcase a few initiatives that at the faculty level and also at the university level. So, so our MD program is one of the largest in Australia, and by student population. So one of the challenge we face is that we have quite a large proportion of international students, and they are all the U1 students are all studying online across different time zones. And just to give you some idea, So each year we have about 400 medical students starting, and half of them are domestic, and the rest, and the other half are international students, mainly from North America, so the US and Canada and Asia and Europe. So you can imagine it can be quite tricky to arrange online tutorial groups and also like information sessions with such a group across like different time zones. And the second challenge that we have is, as you may know, Australia's borders are currently closed. So the only people that can enter Australia are the Australian citizens, permanent residents, and also people who have received individual travel exemptions. It is encouraging though. Recently, medical students have been added to the exemption categories. So medical students in their final 3 years, and our program is 4 years. So that means like year 2, year 3, year 4 students, if they have a confirmed placement at one of our hospitals or medical practice starting in 2 months' time, they can apply for individual exemption. So currently we are working with only year 1 students who are currently studying online, because others for the final 3 years, it is kind of like taken care of under these new government policies. And another challenge that I want to highlight is students to different levels are struggling with online learning. So some are better than the others, but from what we understand, because the MD program normally requires students to be on campus to attend in person here in Brisbane, Australia. But because of COVID, our year 1 students in both cohorts, so last year and also this year, are studying online with lectures, tutorials, and resources. And I suppose it is quite a common phenomenon that some students are experiencing Zoom fatigue, anxiety, depression, and also a lack of face time with their instructors, with their academics and the peers. And they find it really, really hard to form that, to have that human connection and form that sense of community with their medical classmates. So for us, it is a learning process. Like we don't have all the solutions on how to solve all these challenges, but we have come up with like some initiatives, hopefully that will improve the student experience. So for our year 1 curriculum, we usually use the case-based learning, CBL. So with COVID, of course, we have to pivot that online. So our year 1 students will be assigned to a group, working very closely with a tutor and also a smaller group of peers. Because as you can see before, like our cohort each year is about 400 students, and it is massive, especially for like medical programs. So here they will work with about 10 students, and all these online CBL sessions are scheduled at multiple time zones. So some of our tutors are actually working around the clock. So we are starting at 8 a.m. to suit the North American students. That will be their evening on their side. And then we'll work across the Australian time, the Asian time. And then sometimes we will have to finish at 8 or 9 p.m. our time. So that will be the morning in Europe. And we also train and hire experienced online tutors who can facilitate interactive sessions and also encourage students to participate actively. And in terms of learning and also the students' well-being, we also organize regular Zoom drop-in sessions for students to pop in and chat with our medical student support team. And we acknowledge the fact that some of the practical side of the curriculum is quite hard to be taught online, or at least with the current technology. Hopefully, like in a few years' time, maybe we have like new digital technologies to support that. But in the meantime, we understand there's limitation. So we hope that once students are able to come to Australia in the 2nd year, there will be some very intensive compensatory learning activities and assessments for them to catch up on the practical curriculum in person. So that is what our faculty have been doing. And I will quickly touch on what the university level, the initiatives that we have. So the first one is study bubbles. So it is an interesting ideas. So it is for international students currently located overseas. So it is a platform, online platform for them to connect to students who are studying in the same city. So the UQ students studying in the same city, and they can arrange meetup, they can actually arrange a coffee chat, or they can meet at the local library just to have that connection and the sense of community. And when I look at the locations, so as I said, like we have quite a lot of students in the US and Canada. So there's a Toronto bubble, there are Vancouver bubble, UK bubble. There are a couple in Asia, so Hong Kong, Japan, China. And we also encourage students, if they can't see their bubbles, they can actually form one, because it is a student-led kind of initiative. We have provide support in the back end and also with the connection. But like when the students are assigned to that bubble, they are free to organize any kind of study group if they're in the same program. But even like when students are not in the same program, I think a lot of them appreciate having like a fellow UK students in the same city or in the same area, just to have that peer support. And let's not forget the international students who are lucky enough to enter Australia before COVID or just before COVID. So we have summer in Queensland. So that is our summer. So our summertime is from December to February on the other side, for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere. So summer in Queensland, because we know a lot of these students, if they're international student and they're currently onshore, they haven't seen their family for maybe more than 18 months. And a lot of them have missed a lot of important occasions or milestones with their family. So we acknowledge that, and we want them, when they're staying here over all these important festivals, such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, Chinese New Year, all fall into that summer period here in Queensland. So we want to create that, have the social activities and have that support for them to improve the student experience during their time at UQ. So so there are a lot of celebration events and also like swimming classes, cooking classes for students to enjoy outside the class, because we always say our medical degree is more than just a degree, just about study. The social side is also important for the students to have their overall experience. So so these are the two university initiatives that I want to share. And I think that's it for me for my presentation, and keen to hear what other universities are doing in that space, and also listen to the other two presentations.
Thank you, Irene. That was very, very good. I'd like everybody, maybe if we could just keep the questions in mind for the end of presentations, and we can move on to Rodrigo to see how things are going on, and what's your views on the topic are from Chile.
Thank you very much. Are you seeing my presentation in full screen?
It's perfect. Yes, it is.
It's perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning. At least good morning from here in Chile. Today, I would like to share two important or two main challenges we have been facing in the last 2 years since the COVID-19 pandemic started, and one idea that we think can be useful for supporting our international students in the next years. I'm not so fluent in English, so if you see I'm struggling with my presentation at some point, please don't hesitate to interrupt me and give me a hand. Okay, so here you can see the main two challenges we have been facing in the last 2 years. The first one is how to keep alive our international students' motivation to participate in international activities. It has not been easy at all. Okay, and I will show you a graph with the outgoing and incoming mobility, international mobility in our school, and you will see how the amount of people going overseas has been decreasing very sharply. And the second challenge we have been facing is how to timely and properly give advice to our international students in several topics that have arisen since the COVID-19 pandemic started. Okay, so regarding the first challenge, how to keep alive our students' motivation, we have had some conversation with our students and international students, and what I see is that the perception of obstacles and barriers for internationalization has been much higher in the last 2 years. Most of our international students traditionally come to Chile in person, and the perception of risk of coming to Chile or going abroad, our local students going abroad, is much higher, a high risk of contagion, COVID-19 contagion. And it has been really harder to find flights available. The scarcity of tickets has been very notorious. You know, you're very aware of border restrictions, strong border restrictions, and in some countries, closing of boards, such Australia, for example, like Australia. Very important requirements regarding vaccination schemes or quarantines. In some countries, 1 week of quarantine. In other countries, 2 weeks. For example, in Chile, is 2 weeks of quarantine. All those barriers have increased the perception of difficulty to participate in international activities. But the alternative to physical mobility, online international activities, is seen as no so much rewarding for some international students, especially our local students that are thinking to travel abroad overseas. They think, they see that online international activities are much less interesting in terms of cultural inbreeding. You know, they feel that participating in online international activities doesn't let them to inbreed with local cultures and local people, and so it's not so interesting as traditional internationalization. The building of social networks and new friends is restricted in online activities. The touristic dimension of online, the touristic dimension of international activities is less evident in online activities, and there are so many. Currently, we have so many webinars available that it is perceived, online activities is perceived as less exclusive as compared to physical international activities. So in summary, the perception of online international activities is that is less rewarding. The second challenge, as I said, is how to timely and properly give advice, give support and give information to our international students in several topics like vaccination, border restriction, visa, quarantine requirement, etc. Very important topics that arose since the COVID-19 pandemic started. That information is very difficult to. It's difficult. It's hard to have that information permanently updated because it's very dynamic. The vaccination schemes are dynamic. The border restrictions are dynamic. The quarantine requirements by government are changing on a daily basis. We have different regulations and requirements across different countries. And you are very aware of, there is a lack of multilateral recognition of official documents and vaccination schemes, as you can see in the graph. For example, many countries, as Chile, have its population vaccinated with Chinese vaccines, and Chinese vaccines are not recognized or accepted in some countries in the States or in Europe. But that situation has been changing in the last days. So having that information available, updated and available for our international students has not been easy. We have an idea that I think can be useful to overcome these obstacles in the near future, a near future that we are foreseeing will be affected by new ongoing epidemiological risks because of global climate change, because of epidemic threats that come from globalization. And the idea is the one that you can see in the screen, is joining forces to create something like a U21 Health Science Group International Travelers website, a place where we can centralize and share information about U21 members, information related to vaccination requirements, border restrictions, visa issues, housing, travel alerts and warnings, medical insurance, and cultural topics such as food, customs, and the idiosyncrasy in host countries. I think that information could enhance our members' mobility, our cooperation, and facilitate our international offices' work. It's not a new idea. There are several websites like the one I'm talking about over there. Here you can see the UK Council for International Students Affairs website that covers information like the one I told, visa, fees, money, working, etc. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rodrigo. Thank you so much. And we might move on to Inga. And Inga, are you still okay for me to share your presentation? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Margaret.
And if anyone can think about questions for us, for everybody to discuss, that would be great. Okay. And if you feel like putting something into into the chat box, please feel free to do so. Yeah. Sorry about that. Go back to the first slide. There we go, Inga.
Thank you so much. My name is Inga, and I'm a global community coordinator in University of Edinburgh, in Edinburgh Global. That's the international office of the university. And I would like to speak today about 3 case studies from the university and highlight 3 examples of the university-led initiative, departmental initiative, and a student-led initiative, just to show you what we did to address challenges around supporting international students during the pandemic. All 3 initiatives were developed in summer 2020, and I will speak about how we've developed them back then, a year ago, and what's taken place, what's happening with those initiatives now. So the first one, initiative, was a big challenge, a challenge of communication. As you know, the pandemic hit in spring 2020 and we went to lockdown. We faced the first challenge of uncertainty of information, uncertainty of what's going to happen with semester 1, uncertainty about everything. We were locked down in our houses, and we were trying to figure out how to work ourselves. And there was a challenge of understanding who messages students and prospective students, students who are yet to arrive. What are colleagues messaging to those students, and what channels are they using? So how are they messaging our students? And we know that the university is rather big, so we have about 45,000 students at the university. I know there are bigger universities, but this one is about the mid-size university, with colleagues messaging students on a university central level, department level, colleges level, schools, programs, different services, students association, as well as program directors, support staff, some tutors, some academics, senior management. So everyone is messaging students. But at this time, we just realized that we need to do something. And it's quite important that we control the messages to students and have a coordinated approach to it to avoid uncertainty. So just the back. So this project was led by our team in communications and marketing in conjunction with the student recruitment and admissions, and the colleagues from communications and marketing and student recruitment and admissions came up with an idea of building content groups that would build proactive content around key themes to reassure students and to set expectations for new and returning students in September 2020. So every content group had some specialists from communication departments, and we have a central communication department as well as communication offices in different teams and groups. So there was always a member of a communications team, as well as professionals from different areas at the university who were content area experts. And if you ask me what groups were those, there were several groups. And for example, one group was looking into safety, campus safety and travel. Another group was looking into student support. There was a group looking at Welcome Week, so the first week then students arrive, and events. And there was a group looking at accommodation. So there was all these different groups that were meeting on a weekly basis and getting information together and passing information to each other that was relevant to other groups. That helped us allocate better resources, better skills to different topics, keep control of information that was discussed, that was sent out to students and staff, to be more proactive, to know who is responsible for what, and to have a coordinated approach. This information was shared on the SharePoint, and the meetings were held on MS Teams, the usual, the way we do. We still continue doing this year, but that was so successful that in December 2020, so after Welcome Week and after the students have arrived, the communications team, the central communications team, came up with a proposal to set up a prospective student comms team, a smaller team, just one team, that would be built together by different professional services staff in communication, in international office, in student recruitment and admissions, and in marketing, to address key messages in summer 2021 for new students and returning students. But the first task was to do an audit. And this group did an audit of all communication that is sent out to prospective students throughout summer and spring until October in our cycle. I'm not familiar with your cycles, but our semester starts in September, mid-September. So throughout the cycle of prospective student communication. So that was the first task, to get this information from all the services of what is it that they are sending. And another task of that group was to address key communications around accommodation, around campus safety, so just the key areas. So I think this is a good example of what we came up with in spring 2020. It's still going on quite strong now in 2021, and we could see less anxiety among staff, among students. We were able to proactively react to events unfolding and restrictions. We also were able to share different messages very quickly, because the network, the communication network, has been reviewed and built kind of again. So those groups had an authority to push more messages through different channels. So this is one of the examples that I wanted to introduce you to today on a university level. The next example is on a departmental level, on a student level. So it's a student-led initiative, Global Buddies. So next slide, please, Margaret. And Global Buddies is a peer support program run by students for students. However, the challenge in 2020 was that students, some of them could not come to Edinburgh, others were in Edinburgh, came to Edinburgh, but didn't have an opportunity to meet others because we were in a lockdown. They were not able to find friends and get some peer support, which is extremely important to new students when they arrive to a new country. And as well, we had a restriction on live events. And as we know, students really like live events, like parties, like getting on trips, and all of this was not possible to new students, and them arriving to a new country without any connections was hard to find out what's happening and where that's happening. So Global Buddies program, which was initially always live and always set up for visiting students only, it was a closed program for visiting students, was able to expand in 2020. So what happened was the program was switched completely online. It had the same structure as the Global Buddies original, with super groups and groups and leaders, but it switched completely online and opened up to all the students, all international students, which drastically increased the number of applications. So in 2020, in semester one, we've matched 2,613 applications together. They were built in 26 supergroups, and each supergroup has 6 mini groups. So as you can see, I've put a structure of the supergroup and groups together. It's not as complex as it sounds. It works really well with students because every group has a leader, and we were able to recruit 377 body group leaders, volunteers who were leading events, and a number of supergroup leaders. So this initiative was managed by students themselves. So they were making decisions of what events they are offering to their groups, when they are meeting, what they are doing, when they are doing things, on British summertime or any other range of times. And that was excellent. That worked really well. It's still going on strong. And this year, this program is expanding again. So it's offered not only to first-year students, but also to second-year students, because we know that first-year students in 2020 who are second-year students now did not have a chance to experience real social life and support in Edinburgh. Many of them did not have a chance to come to the UK. So this program will open up to the first and the second year international students. And in addition to this Global Bodies program, Edinburgh students decided to set up a new program, Edinburgh Bodies, which is opened up not only for international students, but for all students, local students as well, just to address the challenges of the pandemic and working from home, studying from home, and the opportunity to connect students. So this year, the program will be delivered in a hybrid way. So there will be live events and there will be online events. That's new. So let's see how that will work out. Because of course, we understand there might be challenges as well with the hybrid learning, hybrid engagement, that some students might not be able to join others. But we'll see. So it's up to students. Students are managing this, and I will be happy to report to you how that works out next year. And the third example is on a departmental level. This is our Tandem language exchanges, and maybe you've heard about this already. So this program was solving the challenge of restrictions on physical mobility, and language as a key component on many of our programs, especially for language students. So in 2020, our students could not go on exchange. And throughout summer, our colleagues in Study and Work Away team, which is the department in Edinburgh Global, worked together with colleagues in the School of Literatures, Languages and Cultures to develop a language exchange, which would be completely a virtual opportunity. And in semester 1 2020, the colleagues were able to match 350 students from Edinburgh with students from 50 different institutions, universities across the world. And we were able to offer 13 languages to be practiced. And the most popular languages are French, Spanish, and Chinese. So no surprise there. But there were also a lot of other languages that were offered. And students, again, were leading on their own exchange. So the first meeting was set up by colleagues in the Study and Work Away team, and then students themselves were responsible for meeting, identifying topics, chatting with each other, showing each other their countries, meeting for discussions. We also had a competition on student video blogs, and if you're interested, you can have a look at 3 different vlogs that students have submitted, where they, discuss their experience and talk a little bit more of how that worked for them and what they did and how they met with each other, what they've learned. So again, so this third example is an example of collaborative work, and this is, I guess, is the key finding that we're quite certain helped us during the pandemic is collaboration. I know we all work very collaboratively and together, but during the pandemic, this was really the key strength for every project. We all realized that we can't do it alone. Not a single team can manage the situation. So a lot of teams have collaborated with each other, with students, with senior management. We just, opened up our calendars and set up meetings and worked together. So I hope these examples are helpful. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me anytime, and I will be happy to put you in touch with leaders of each of these projects. Thank you.
Thanks a million, Inga. That was absolutely great. It's so good to see that perspective from, like, you know, having the student-led initiatives and so on. So that's absolutely brilliant. Just want to say thank you so much to all the speakers, and that was really good to see different perspectives really from across the world, student-led, student-focused, what challenges we experience, and I'm sure that many of us will just nod our heads that yep, that's exactly what we experienced as well on our side, and how difficult it was. I just wanted to flag as well, Stan, thank you so much for sharing a comment there about the clinical skills. That's a really great idea. Thank you so much for that.
Welcome.
So maybe I could just summarize, maybe just from the University College Dublin perspective. Again, 2021 was very challenging, and especially for the first year students who actually came to Ireland, and they weren't able to experience really the student's life. And obviously now they're second year students, but thankfully Ireland actually has opened up, and we are able to welcome many of our international students. And I can just say that unfortunately I'm away from Ireland. I'm actually in Poland at the moment, but my colleagues Smaranda and Catherine from our international team, you might remember from last year, and I see Smaranda is still with us here, run our orientation sessions kind of face-to-face, obviously with a number of restrictions in place, but we are opening up. And maybe if I could just ask, how is it looking across your institution? So obviously we know from Irene that it's not going to be probably face-to-face in Queensland, is it?
Not for year one.
Year one, yeah. And how is it in Chile? Rodrigo?
I'm sorry.
Are you going to have face-to-face teaching?
Yes, we are having face-to-face teaching since year one, actually.
Okay.
Currently, we're having, since 1 month ago, we start to have face-to-face teaching.
Okay, okay. And Inga, obviously in Edinburgh, you're back.
Yes, we're back. So I was on campus today. I'm at home just now, but I was on campus this morning. Our Welcome Week has started today. So it's good to see students on campus. And I was also happy to see that everyone is socially distanced. So it's quite nice, but we were able to put a large tent in the center of central campus, where sports fair is taking place today, and tomorrow and the day after it will be activities fair with student societies. But you know, it's a lot going on, but in a very COVID safe manner, as you might imagine. So we're back to business, and we have a hybrid learning approach this year. A lot of activities will be taking place live, but larger lectures where it's impossible to put all students into one large hall will be taking place virtually.
Okay, I'll be interested as well to hear how things are looking in Canada, Laura. If you could share with us, that would be great.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's really nice to see you, and I enjoyed your presentations. Thank you. I love the bubbles. I love the buddies. I think these are really great ideas, and you know, thinking about student mental health and all of that, I think is such an important aspect of this. In Canada, it's a bit weird because we don't have a lot of international students in our clinical program. So we've been face-to-face throughout for clinical pieces. The non-clinical programs, we do have quite a few. Those are becoming more open. I think it's been a challenge for some international students to get visas. It's become a bit better, but until now it's been difficult. And we have vaccination mandates here, and I don't know what's happening in your areas of the world, but ours is very, very strong. And so that's causing a few issues around international students who maybe don't have a vaccine that is recognized in Canada. But the other thing I'll note that's making things a bit more complicated is Canada just recently said international travelers for even discretionary travel can come, and here are the requirements, and here's what you need to do. But yet for Canadians, we are being told still that non-essential travel should be avoided. And so we have this mixed messaging that we as Canadians aren't supposed to go anywhere unless it's essential, but yet everybody else can come here. And so it's difficult for us because we're even saying, can we send people to conferences? Like, what can we do? And the Canadian government is like, you know, making it a little bit more challenging for us. So, so we're open. We have a hybrid in some areas, but for our clinical programs, it's very much in person within the requirements we have in our spaces.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for that insight from a class there. Zara, are you still with us? Will be interesting to see how's Connecticut, because obviously you guys have a large number of students. Are you still with us, Zara?
Hi, everybody. How are you? Yes, I'm still here. We are sort of in a mix where a lot of international students are able to come back to campus this semester, but because, as I think someone else mentioned, the increase in flight, the cost of flights has made it quite difficult for students from some countries. So we do still have, we're working with students to help them have a virtual course schedule if needed. And then we've been working with some of our partners, especially in China. We've been working with ECNU in Nottingham to provide in-person courses for some of our students that are there. In terms of exchange, we have been accepting some exchange students to campus, and we have a small number going abroad, but it's difficult as, you know, the rate of acceptance of Americans varies from country to country, and the restrictions just keep changing. So we're kind of just rolling with it and doing case-by-case basis for exchange students.
Okay, great. Thanks a million for that. And Wang Zi, maybe you'd like to share how is it going on in Fudan?
Hi everyone. So I'd like to share something with Fudan. We had begun face-to-face teaching since last year. So, but for long periods, so our exchange students number has decreased a lot. But now we would like to receive the exchange students if they can get a visa. Yeah. So several days ago, I received an application from the UCD. She'd like to go to Fudan through the U21 clinical placement programs. And we gave him the reply that if he can get the visa, then we will accept them. And for the whole university, it's the same. If the students can get the visa and the schools would like to accept them, that's okay. It's our situation. Yeah.
That's great. And Stan, like, would you like to expand a little bit more about your clinical training program? How did you guys deal with the online sessions and so on? Because obviously, especially for a medical student, having the hands-on experience, it's the key. And I know that our students missed it a lot, but I also know that creativity of our academic staff was exceptional at some cases, and they handled especially some of anatomy dissection classes online in a really, really interesting form. One of our teachers, just as an example, basically said to students to purchase an animal heart and a couple of other bits and pieces, and he was showing them how to dissect an animal heart. Obviously they couldn't do it here, but it was a highlight of their anatomy dissection classes. And I'd say our lecturer is going for Teacher of the Year award because of that. But it will be interesting to hear, Stan, how you guys did.
Well, to be honest, because I'm not involved in the actual delivery of the clinical skills, but as a whole teaching team, I mean, we discussed how we were going to approach, I mean, the lockdown issue, and the clinical team, the lead of the clinical team demonstrated what he was going to do, and his team was going to do. They were using a lot of studio type of recording system. In fact, because the clinical skills lead is a GP, he actually emptied out his garage. He has a double garage and turned it into a studio. And he gathered a lot of essential items, like, I mean, the bed and I-stand. Have you heard of I-stand, the clinical skills mannequin? So yeah. Things like that, yeah. So things like that. I mean, he gathered everything in his garage, and his wife is a GP as well. So they work together and produce video, a very high quality video, trying to, I mean, prime the students with the video training. The students were coming in 1 day a week doing clinical skills because of social distancing. A lot of the equipment being used, I mean, they had to be sterilized, not sterilized, I mean, disinfected. sorry for the wrong term use. Disinfected immediately after being used by one student. So there's an extensive time requirement involved. So we couldn't do what we wanted to do for every student, but at least, I mean, we primed the students with the training video first, and then there will be drop-in sessions for students to ask questions, and then they will come in to do the most essential parts. But if anyone is interested in knowing more, because as I said, I'm not involved in the actual delivery, I can refer you to our clinical skills team, and they will tell you everything about what they did.
Great, thank you so much for sharing that contact details, Dan. Really appreciate that. Does anyone else, I don't want to point fingers at everybody, but if anyone would like to share your university experience, please feel free to take the floor now.
Perhaps I'll carry on a little bit about what we're doing this year in Nottingham. Very similar to Edinburgh, we are doing a hybrid. Lectures and I mean, mainly lectures, they will be delivered online because we recorded painstakingly a lot of or all our lectures last year. So our lectures will be online, but there will be catch-up sessions for students to drop-in sessions for students to catch up, and then all the anatomy workshops they will resume, as well as clinical skills. So this is what we're doing with the preclinical phase, because we are very our program structure is very similar to Queensland's, because we are graduate entry, so we use problem-based learning, but unfortunately we can't have face-to-face problem-based learning because our problem-based learning rooms are very small, so they will be online. In fact, last year we've been doing problem-based learning online. It was a challenge. It was a big challenge in terms of student engagement and everything, but it's getting a lot better than we first started. So now we know a lot of the issues involved. We are hoping that in the near future we can go back to face-to-face, but at the moment we're still doing online for lectures and problem-based learning.
Great, perfect. Elizabeth, maybe a quick summary. How's Lund doing this year?
Well, we are actually about to open up. It was never completely closed in Lund, so the clinical training has actually been carried on all through the pandemic. But now we are still in a hybrid, but next month we will begin to open up completely. We still don't accept international clinical students. We have actually, in Lund, we have accepted exchange students during the whole pandemic, but not to the hospital. The hospital is not accepting international students. So that's where we are right now. And we can't really, well, we just get a decision, so we can't really control it. So we don't know what will happen in the future. We have some outgoing exchange students, but very few, because it's very restricted. They can only actually go to, well, pretty much within Europe that they're allowed to travel to. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's quite open actually in general at the university for exchanges and everything, but so we have particular restrictions within health sciences, so that's what makes it kind of difficult for us. It's very different.
So we have two visitors, Jake and Daniel. So welcome to the International Development Group session. I don't know if you want to join the discussion. How is what university you're from, and how is it looking for your students this year? If you don't, that's absolutely fine.
Margaret, this is Jake here. Thanks for the invite to the meeting. I'm Jake Broadhurst, a colleague of Inga's at University of Edinburgh. I'm the U21 contact and just taking over the role of supporting U21. So it's just great to listen in and hear the activities of the Health Science Working Group. So
okay, well done to Edinburgh anyway on the initiatives. That's great. It's definitely gave all of us a little bit of a flavor what we could steal and learn from you guys. So that's great.
Yeah, I'm pleased that Inga was able to talk today. She's a real expert in this field. So, and it's just good to learn from what's going on across the network. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thanks. Thank you for joining the meeting. Okay, so maybe just to finish up, like we still have a half an hour. So basically, oh, sorry, Eleanor, do you want to share? Sorry, I don't think we can hear you, Eleanor. I think we might still have some trouble.
Yes. His mic is on.
Mic is on, but I don't think we can maybe just do...
It's weird. It's not working.
Well, maybe when you're connecting, I just want to say from the University College Dublin perspective and all the other Irish universities, actually, we do welcome all the students. So we are fully open, both with lectures and practicals and small group teaching. So I'm actually quite interested how this is going to go for us this year, whether we are going to lock down in the next 2 months or how this is going to go. Hopefully it's going to be all good. We definitely are very excited to see the students on campus, because obviously, as we all know, last year it was just not the same. So obviously restrictions in place, and masks in the buildings and so on, and our office is open for students as well, but it will be interesting to see how we can support them. We know that there was a lot of students with different mental health issues, and being in isolation obviously not helping, because even coming into Ireland, staying in the students' residences, you are on campus, but yet you're not having this on-campus experience, because obviously it's not how it should be. So we actually are running orientations. We run orientations for our incoming students last week and the stage 2 students. So that's our second year students as well. It was, I think they called it refamiliarization, if my memory serves me well. But anyway, it was just to get them on together and see how it goes. We're hoping to have a little bit more initiatives for all of our students, and we do hope that our U21 Health Sciences Group medical clinical placement program will go ahead. So hopefully we will be able to reactivate our exchange programs. I know that UCD clinical sites will be happy to welcome students from the so that's positive option. So I'm sure that our students will be interested to see what we have on offer as a group as well. Can Can you hear us? Can we hear you? You can hear us, but we can't hear you. No. Alejandro, do you have any ideas how we can fix Eleanor?
I was messaging with her, so I think maybe there's a trouble with the headphones. We have already tried to unplug them and plug them in, and there's no response. Maybe if you try to exit the room, and I will let you in.
Okay, great. Thanks, Eleanor. So maybe obviously we, as a group, as you know, we run a number of initiatives and like online programs, and obviously we had the different virtual options. Karina, we had our global partnership program going ahead virtually. We don't really have an update from Caroline yet, but I'm sure there was a loads of interest there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think in total there was around 35 students, and that was a mixture of students from the network and also students from Kathmandu University. But this year was the first time and it was completely online. So I think Carolyn she'd probably like to come and present a future meeting with you all to talk about future sort of possibilities. I think they may be looking to seek funding to run it in future years. And they're looking to do hopefully more like a hybrid model rather than just 100% online, because I think they've done the online version and that's worked really well for this year. But I think, and it's given access to students that wouldn't have been able to otherwise attend the Global Learning Partnership. But I think there are obviously, they would like to physically go to Nepal and to restart that again, really. So I think that's something that Carolyn is quite keen to talk to you all about, and also to look at different locations as well. So I think there's 2 other locations that they're quite keen to start the GLP in, and I think one is Malawi and the other is in South India. So I think there's other options. I think that would then open it up to taking place in different times of the year, which would suit different cohorts of students, regional, geographically. So I think that's something we'll ask her to come and report on. So I think that's it. I think we have got a short video report from her that I can share with you as well after the annual meeting. In the meantime, we can have a little update from her on that. So yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Karina.
That's okay.
No, sorry about that.
Hold on though. But Eleanor is now muted, and she wasn't before. So can we? Oh no, sorry. I thought I saw a mute. I thought I saw your mic had been muted. Sorry. No.
So just again, like obviously I know Veronica had to leave us for another meeting, but obviously we had a number of online options from Monterrey, and we had a couple of options from Chile as well. We had an online options for all the students across the network. We had one online opportunity for clinical trials modules in UCD as well. I'm actually just waiting for feedback from our module coordinators and so on, but the main interest was actually from Fudan students. So we had a good few from yourself, Wang Xing. I know that the time probably was a bit too short for the modules we run, but for future, I definitely would like to introduce a little bit more opportunities, online opportunities for students across the network. I think the next 2 years, well, definitely this year, it's still not going to be the same. You know, like even though we are opening up, but I don't think it will be the same. So if all of us could just again think about different options and talk to our colleagues across universities, what can we share with the network? I think that will be amazing because our students will come knocking to our door and look for those opportunities. So it will be really good to have something for us. So. Okay, so thanks, Eleanor. So just wanted to share another UC Chile project on simulations. Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Margaret, could I just add one other student that's happened? So, and this was something that's just happened this week actually. But we've had the interprofessional education group that have had 50 students from across the network, and I know Irene's nodding because she helped promote this. I know we got a lot of students from Queensland. So we have
really?
Yeah,
that's
we
great.
did. Yeah, we got a good response. So we had 50 students from across the network that came together 2 weeks ago. We had an introductory session where we put the students into 7 breakout rooms. So they were in 7 teams. They were set a global health challenge around COVID-19 and vaccine equity. So they were set that a challenge 2 weeks ago, put into teams of around 7 students in each team. And then on this Thursday, they are actually presenting their reports on that challenge. And there's a team of judges, and they will be awarded accordingly. But I just thought I'd give you that as another example, because that is something that probably happen regularly, probably at least once a year. And it's just a really good other opportunity for students to get together with other international students where they can't otherwise do that. So I think that's why the take-up was so good. And I think, this was the kind of like a pilot version. So it wasn't open up to every single university across the network. It was just around 7 universities in the network who have core members in the IPE group. So that's why some of you may not have heard of it. But I think we wanted to do it as a pilot just to see how it would run, and then to open it out to the full network next year. So just wanted to add that. I'll also send the link round to you in case you do want to attend the presentations that are taking place this week. I'll send that around to the group. But I just thought I'd add that in as another good example of things happening.
Really good. That's a brilliant opportunity. Absolutely amazing. And I think even if so what we're hoping to do as well this year, just basically ask the students, like obviously they lived through a year of a pandemic situation and completely different environments, kind of a student environment and so on. So us as a team, I was hoping to basically reach out to them and see, like, everyone is asking for obviously clinical electives opportunity and so on, but we need to know what can we do if something happened and travel is not allowed and they can actually go, what other things can we do to help them out? And obviously I know that it will be more curriculum led and to experience to broaden their experience and so on, but I think from the mental health perspectives we should do something as well, and even connections with the students from the network. That will be a big deal. And I think, you know, obviously our medical students are pretty focused and so on, but even just to have a buddies from Edinburgh or Queensland and so on, I think it will be a really good idea. So perhaps we could explore a little bit more during our next IDG meeting and think about maybe plan, you know, what if scenarios, and obviously hope for the best, but we should maybe have a couple of options open for what happens if actually we won't be able to travel, and what can we do for our students. Okay. Karina just shared the link with us to the session, so that's great. If anyone has any other comments. And obviously, sorry, I just want to mention Eleanor in the chat box as well mentioned us a link to the simulation practice education, which I'm sure everybody will find very helpful. So thank you so much for that, Eleanor. And I'm sorry you weren't able to speak. We will catch you up in the next meeting, that's for sure. And we have the recording of this. Okay, so the Thursday session, Karina, will be recorded, yeah? Yeah, okay, great. Rebecca, Helen, is there anything you would like to add from your institutions?
Yeah, just move you onto my other screen. There we go. I think from Birmingham, we're very much the same as the other universities within the UK. So we are opening up for face-to-face student teaching. We've got our welcome week next week, so all our first years are expected on campus. A lot of our international students, hopefully, fingers crossed, will turn up as well. So we're looking forward to welcoming those people onto campus. So again, you know, we're the same. We do have the added difficulties with visas now that we're no longer in the EU. So all of our European students and colleagues have to come over to the UK now, have to have their visas. So just another layer of complexity, but we are starting to get there and starting to work on it. So it's all good. Fingers crossed for next week.
Good, good. Wishing you best of luck with that.
Thank you.
And Rebecca, are you with us there?
Hello.
Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
Yeah, so sorry. No, I don't have anything else to add to what Jake and Inga have already said. Thank you. Nice to see you all. Sorry, my camera's not possible today.
Not at all, not at all. I thought the Inga's presentation was really good anyway. So, but I thought just in case you wanted to add something. Lovely. Okay, well, listen, thank you so much, everybody. And we're a little bit ahead of time. So I just wanted to wish you all the best and best of luck with the start of the years. And I hope you will enjoy the rest of the annual meeting. We have, for those who joined us just now, we have a recording of our presentations from the speakers available to you. So I hope you will enjoy that. And again, wishing you best of luck and enjoy the rest of the annual meeting. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Alejandro, thank you so much for your support and being at the background, how it wasn't too
Yeah.
bad to stay on. Thanks so much.
There are the technical difficulties. I mean, there's a kind of tricky with the headphones, the audio. I mean, there's nothing I could do from this side.
That's it. But thank you so much for trying. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Best of luck.